Hey, what's up? I'm Kirk of Effectatron, and I'm going to show you how to create this can with condensation. Redshift keeps adding really cool stuff into Maxon. I just did one about how they added a bunch of trees. Now they've added materials that have condensation built in that basically drag and drop water droplets onto your can, but they're not like that easy to use. So there's a little bit of setup that goes into it. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to put your logo on a can and also how to add this condensation and control it so that you can create these really nice, cool renders really quickly and easily. So we can just zoom in here, and you can tell if you just were to come in here and maybe get a little downward angle and have a little bit of depth of field on this. We'll always do that because why not? Bokeh 6, click to focus, boom, right there. And then voila, we have this really nice cool depth of field shot on our can with these water droplets. That might be a little extreme, but really cool way to set that up. So let's go ahead and get started and take a look at this right now. Let's go ahead and open up a new scene, go to our asset browser, type in can, and we can bring in a can. You can do whatever you want. We're going to go ahead and bring in this can like this. Now, we're not going to worry about making this perfect because basically, I don't really want to worry about creating a label and all that stuff. Basically, we're just going to take a overall metallic object. We're going to create a new metal, throw that on our can, basically replace all this with just metal. So hold Alt, click and drag to replace all of that. And then inside of this, we're just going to go ahead and create it to metal. And we're going to lower this value down to like 5%. So it's kind of a black metallic metal, just like that. Delete our sphere that we have in our scene. We have our can here, and we just want to go ahead and put that on the ground. So we're going to click the place tool and just click and drag on the ground. Now we can hold the right click and Alt and zoom in, or scroll wheel in as well. So right now, where we look at this, we see we have a nice metallic can. Let's go ahead and render on that. Nice cool black metallic can. Nothing fancy, no actual aluminum. I just combined them all. It's not a big deal because we're really focusing about how to set up the droplets and put your logo on there. So let's go ahead and throw our logo on there really quickly. Create a new material, double click, open that up. Just ignore all this stuff. I have that set up. You learn how to do that in the Mind and Motion workshop, which is coming soon. I know I've been teasing that for a long time because I have been working on it for a long time because it is huge. But I'm super excited. It's going to be awesome. So let's go ahead and grab our logo. Now, obviously, it depends on how well your logo was designed and stuff like that. Basically, you need to have alpha channels and stuff like that for things to work just right. So let's go ahead and we'll grab like this one here. This is kind of an outline. And we're just going to click and drag that into our node editor, no problem. Now we're going to click that, drag that into the color. Then we're going to hit C, type in color, if you can spell, color splitter. Grab that, bring that down. Then we grab our line, our texture file here, plug that into the input, grab the alpha of that, which is going to use that alpha, and that's going to drive the opacity. And there we go. Now we have a sort of a see-through color with our logo on there, no problem. And we're going to go ahead and make that sort of metal as well, crank the roughness up as well. And we're just going to go ahead and drag that on top of our can. And we'll go ahead and hit render on this. And so when we drag that on top of our can, we're telling it to basically act like a sticker, and boom, it's going on our can. It obviously doesn't look like we want it to look like, but let's go ahead and fix that. That's kind of cool, actually. I don't know why more cans don't do the logo stretched out like that. That's kind of neat. So basically, let's go ahead and grab our tag here and switch it from UV mapping to flat. And the first thing that's going to do is just make it disappear. Gone. Let me turn these snowflakes off. And you might have to refresh a few times in this. So what's happening right now is this is being applied as a flat shape, just going like straight onto our can. Now we can't see where it is because we actually need to go in here with this tag selected and choose this option right here, which is the texture mode, and it creates our grab points where we can actually move around our textures. So we can actually move this around. But one thing we can do is hit T and scale it down, and you'll see we actually have boundaries of our texture. And so it's always going to start in the bottom right corner is going to be where your image starts. So I would say one tip is like my logos were not in squares. They were like stretched out long things. So I think one tip that makes it really useful is before you bring your logo in, make a square version of it, because that's just going to make moving it around better and more accurate. Now, I don't really care too much about my logo brand recognition for this tutorial, but basically I'm going to have to squish it and stuff to try to make it look just right. But if you have it square, and then you have your logo bring in on that where the rest of the space is just kind of empty in that square, it's going to be the right ratio, and you won't have to mess around with scaling it and stuff. So let's go ahead and with this selected, Uncheck tile. We don't want our logo to tile. We're not like Gucci or Coach or something. I don't even know if Gucci tiles it. I've seen Coach purses before. Grab this, and we're just going to keep scaling it down a little bit. And we're going to hit R and rotate it. Hold Shift to rotate it 90 degrees. And we can go ahead and bring this down and bring it over. And you can see how it's, we can see where it's being applied at the axis of this. And we're going to hit T and stretch it out so that it's long across our can here. And hit T again and squish it in. And we're going to try to kind of make it look pretty normal. Just pull it down and pull it up a bit like so. So that looks pretty good. Boom. And one trick I would say when you have a client's logo or something and you really want it to pop a little bit more, basically what you can do is open up your shader, grab your color and bring that into the emission channel, into the color. And then you can come down here into the emission and just kind of boost that up a little bit. And that's just going to make that pop a little bit more. It basically makes that emit light. But so it's not, you don't lose it in the shadows and stuff as much. So it kind of makes that logo pop a little bit more if your client really wants your brand recognition out there. Cool. So now I have a can with the logo. Let's go ahead and throw our water droplets on there, which is why you watch this tutorial. Let's go ahead and click that, and we'll go ahead and just go underneath our Redshift materials. So underneath the materials, you may think it's underneath liquid. It's not. It's actually underneath glass. So underneath glass, we have a few new things. There's a lot of cool ones if you have Max on 1 to bring those in. Actually have like a nicer looking condensation, which is kind of like layered in there. We can layer stuff on top of it as well, but there's the droplets and there's also rain. Now, I haven't tested window rain to see if it's animated or anything yet. Super hopeful that it is. But let's go ahead at the time of this tutorial, haven't tested it. So we're going to grab our glass condensation, which is not behind the paywall. And what we can do is just throw that on our object here, our null. And we'll bring that down and just throw it on top of our can main shape. Now, yes, it's going to add those on there. They're not going to look very good. And I honestly don't think this is the best way to do it. Now, real quick, let's just kind of explain how this is working. Open this up. You don't get alarmed by all the different colors and crazy things. This is just something people do to help organize stuff. Not something I do. I don't organize. So basically, all we need to worry about is this displacement feature right here. So we're going to go ahead and open up our window here. And you can see they've kind of dulled down the range a little bit here. And what we want to do is we're just going to bring this back up to like 0.5, just a little bit to bump up our dots a little more. Now, you're not going to see any difference at all on anything displacement related until you add a Redshift object tag to your object. So we need to right click our can, go to render tags, Redshift object tag. Still no difference. We need to go underneath the geometry tag, check override, and then also turn on displacement. Okay, now we're getting some displacement going on. Looks pretty decent. It also looks a little weird, not great. We're gonna turn on tessellation. Basically what this is doing is subdividing our can at render time. If you're noticing that your shape and stuff gets a little off and distorted, that is because our tessellation is changing it. So you can turn off smoothing tessellation if you want to, but you can really see we're starting to get a little more of those droplet details come in. And I think our UV map is decent enough that this is working pretty well. But obviously this doesn't look great. So what do we need to do? Well, a couple things. I think one, we can lower this down a bit. Let's go back in here and maybe instead of 0.5, we just go up to like 0.25, a little bit of double of what it was originally. Hit refresh. You'll need to refresh a lot when doing Redshift displacement. Kind of the only downside to Redshift displacement. It's not quite as snappy as I want it to be, but this looks really, really good. I'm pretty happy with that. Now, one thing I can do is I can come in here to the new range inside of this condensation underneath this displacement and actually lower this down to like 0.0, maybe like just 0.1. And that's going to suck in this 0 value because right now what's happening is it's putting that glass over top of our whole can. And I don't really want that glass over top of our entire can. I just want the droplets. So that's going to suck that in for us. So that's one way that you can do this. Now, I actually think I get a better result if I leave this at 0, but then I actually just take my can and duplicate it, Control-C, Control-V, go back to my original can, delete all of the things that we've done. We can leave the logo on there, and then we have our new can, and we delete everything else and just leave the water droplets on this new can. And I think when you have this can over top of the other can, it actually gives you a better result. I think for some reason the stacking with displacement and glass doesn't quite work as well as when you just have glass over top of the object. So that would be my tip, is to come in here and actually create a copy of it and adjust that accordingly. So really cool that we have our logo and stuff on there, and we have these nice cool water droplets happening. Now we can come in here and really up the tessellation value on top of this to make this even smoother. All right, so the default settings are 4 and 6 here in the minimum edge length subdivisions. Now, if you look at this water droplet, it's a little, clunky. It's not quite super smooth. So the way I want to increase that is just to tick up this max subdivision 1. Now, we are going to increase our render times, but it's basically, you have to remember with subdivisions that it's kind of exponential. Like, it's not just like one more subdivide in a way. It's like, hi, thanks, Adobe. It's basically a subdivide across every polygon, so it's doubling your polygon count every time, pretty much, if not more. So now we've done that. Look, we have a nice round bubble. So we can come in here real close and get a really nice, cool glass look. I just think that this looks a little bit better. And if you think that your shapes are getting kind of stretched a little bit, like maybe the UV mapping with the can isn't quite right because I removed the material and stuff and didn't put it on there quite right. That's part of it. So how do we fix that? Well, let's go ahead and just see. I think they're just like a little stretched this way if we look at these. So I can grab this right here, and instead of saying UV mapping, actually that's totally fine. Let's just go ahead and squish this down. So we'll go here to the tiles U and say like 1.25. And basically that's going to say take that and pinch it in like that, and we'll see the result here. Now obviously we're going to get a little bit of a slow result here, but once we get kind of that droplet how we want it, which now I think this is looking pretty good, those look more like circles than they do stretched out. Perfect. Now we can hit these snowflakes right here, which I've done before in the last displacement video that I did, and a lot of people asked what those do. We're going to hit refresh again because that clearly didn't work, and obviously this has the ability to be a different tag. So you could put in a different material on that and you would stack them appropriately. So you would just put that one on this bit, whatever. I think you understand how you would correct the dots and stuff like this. But basically, what these snowflakes does is it bakes in that tessellation. So where it calculates our subdivisions that we're doing at render time, rather than doing it every time we move the camera, it's done them once. And as long as we keep our IPR going, now we can move our camera around freely and we don't have to sit there and wait for it to update or anything. So we have our dots and our water droplets built in just like that. Boom, Effectatron juice. It's 100% red 40 and aspartame. So good for you. It's just a beverage. It'll make you real angry. Okay, that is looking pretty good. I think what we could do is maybe affect our metal just a bit, maybe bring that down, bring this up, and possibly go into our condensation, go into the displacement, and lower this minimum range down to like 0.05, just to kind of suck in a little bit of that glass, or sorry, the condensation glass. Again, we'll have to refresh, and it will rebuild those. The snowflakes won't work if you make changes to your displacement. So you need to refresh when doing that, and then again we'll be locked back in and we can move around freely again. So you can see how that kind of sucked everything in. So now we're left with just these droplets. So you could play around with that, and you can basically control the amount of droplets that you have with just simple value right here. So we'll say 0.025, let's say negative 0.0125. Why not? Just random numbers. And then again, replay. That should bring in a fair amount of droplets back in without really putting that droplet across our whole thing. Go in here to our metalness value. We can change the color of our can if we want. Let's do like a pink can. I think it'll clash with that, but we'll see what it looks like. Refresh. The good thing is, as long as you don't change the geometry or the displacement settings, you can still come in here and change colors and stuff, and your snowflakes will still work. So you won't have to wait for this to recalculate every time. It's really only when you change the geometry and stuff. So we've brought back a lot of those dots and stuff, so you can control that. Totally up to you. But our can did not turn pink. So we're going to try again one more time. Oh, because we don't have that one on this can. Duh. Put that on that can. That's why. I was affecting a metal that wasn't there. Boop. Wow. Beautiful. Hard to read, hard to look at. A beautiful product. Effectatron juice. Order now. That's pretty good. I like that. I'm quite happy with how well that's turned out. I think a blue can would look pretty sick, actually. Let's do like like that, but then make it way less metal. Make it like matte. Thoughts? No, but a white can. That's classy. That is classy. I'm into that. So again, you know, I don't know that this is the right move to lower these down. Maybe like 0.0001, just barely. And we'll refresh that and bring that in. But that is, I think, a better way than to drag it on top of your material. I just think somewhere in the stacking, the displacement and glass just don't quite mix right. Whereas if we just literally take a copy of it and stack it on top of itself, I think you get a better result. Plus, you can control it a little bit easier, I feel like. And then you really only have, you know, the old material to work with. So yeah, pretty cool. Let's go ahead and make this, you know, metal again, like so. Crank the metalness back up and bring that roughness down. And the IOR up. Maybe crank up the anisotropy. Yeah. That's so cool. Now we can come in here, you know, and whoops, and just zoom in. We'll look like down, like so. Again, it does glitch out every now and then. Just refresh. Redshift's having some issues currently with the displacement and textures and stacking. It's not perfect. I'm glad they've added it, but it still needs work. But now it should bring back in our logo here. Thank you. This should have been there the whole time. We've got that emission on that, so it's like glowing a little bit so we can see it nice and clear. We'll go in here to our camera, optical, and let's go ahead and turn on bokeh. And we'll do our focus distance here. Click, and we'll focus on the triangle. And of course, our triangle's gone. Maybe crank this back up to 16, so it's not quite so depth of fieldy. And refresh it one more time. It's just literally the issue comes with stacking. That's really where Redshift's, like, it doesn't really like it that much. It just seems like such an easy thing, but I guess not. But there we go. Now we have this really nice, cool Effectatron can. You can get these nice tight shots that have this really nice, cool glass look on them. Very, very nice, very neat. And you can control it and create these really cool shots. Boom, just like that. Yeah, cool. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So how would I light this really quickly? Let's go ahead and throw that in there, because why not? But go ahead and turn off bokeh. We don't need it anymore. Let's say we turn off the dome light. Forget the dome light. We have a big overhead light in our scene. Always have a big overhead light in our studio. Basically acts like a giant silk, which is always going to look really nice on stuff. Like that by itself looks really, really nice. Now let's go ahead and add in a new area light. New area light, click and drag the arrow here down to a target and null. And yes, that's going to blast that out. We want to take this area light and move it off to the side. So we want to make sure we're in our object view and move this over here to the side. Bring our target, make sure our target is on our can. And we're going to slice this down real thin. We want a thin stripe. Boom, just like that. And if we want to, we could probably, you know, shrink this down because it's a enormous light. Like so. Get a nice crisp line there. And then grab this, go to the other side, but pull it a little more out in front and fatten it up. And that's going to give us this nice kind of soft fallout across this. And then we'll grab it one more time and go behind the can. And we want to make sure that our null, once again, is down low, actually pointing at the can. I think that will help a lot. Maybe just slightly above the can. And for this final area light, let's bring that that light down a bit and sharpen it up though. And really with this one, we want to bring it down and we want to create some nice highlights. So let's turn these lights off. And we just want to create a nice rim light for this. So we can bring this down. There we go. Now we have a nice rim light on there. We can turn off our big overhead light. And I go a lot more in depth and stuff into all lighting and stuff like that in the Redshift render mind in motion workshop that is coming soon. So be sure to check out the website and subscribe to the newsletter, as well as follow me on Instagram and stuff for updates, and join the Discord for the most up-to-dates and like updates weekly for sure with actual product renders and stuff like that. But that is looking pretty decent. Let's move it a little off to the side. I want a little bit of rim on that side as well. That's looking pretty cool. Grab our other light, turn it back on, turn this light off. And what I can do here with this light on the side is just lower the intensity down. It's too bright. Like this. And this is the one that's kind of off to the side over here. We're going to bring it down so it's a little flatter, more coming straight at us. And we're going to shrink it down a little bit, not a ton. We kind of do want a fatter strip here, but we don't want it on the logo, obviously, but that looks nice. And I think that's looking good. Turn that off, turn this other one on. This is the side one that was giving us that nice stripe. I think that's looking really, really nice and crisp. I enjoy that. And so turn all these three on together and we get a nice looking can. And then we can turn on our top light to fill in everything else. Now, the one thing that looks really bad right now is our floor. So what I'm going to do is grab all these three new lights that we just added, go to project and exclude the floor. And so now we won't get those weird shadows from the floor. We'll just get a nice looking can with a nice seamless background still. Very, very cool. So there you go. Nice, pretty can render. Honestly, let's go ahead and grab just some aluminium. Grab aluminum, bring it in. And let's go in here to the top of the can and the clip and just throw that aluminum on there. Boop, like so. Click and drag, click and drag. That should change that to aluminum. Let's go ahead and do the detail as well. Okay, we're not seeing it yet. That's pretty much all of it. Yeah, so. Oh, maybe we just need to refresh. I think I should make, oh, there we go. There we go. Perfect. So now we have a nice aluminum can. That's looking nice. And then obviously you could just throw that in a cloner, make a whole bunch of these and make a really cool ad. Super fast. Let's go ahead and grab both of these together and then right click them together. Go to a group. He thought the tutorial was over. It's not. We're going to go ahead and throw this into a cloner. Boop, just like that. We're going to say multi-instance. And then we're going to take it and we're going to find our cloner. We're going to go ahead and say 3 here as well. And we're going to say 5, 5, 5. It's real tight. Boop. And we're going to bring it down so it's in the same spot. There we go. Look at all these crazy cans. Uncheck this. And for the sake, yeah, we'll just go ahead and do that. That is trippy. Anyway, we've got all our cans there. We can zoom out a bit. Take our cloner, go ahead and go to MoGraph Effector, Random Effector, boop, and that's just going to them all over the place, just like so. Parameters, we're going to say 10, 10, 10, rotation, 360, 360, 360. Boom, now we've just got this weird blob of cans. Perfect. Bring them up above the ground. Zoom in. I don't like that they're clipping into each other. That drives me crazy. Let's go ahead and we could fix this with dynamics and stuff, but we're just going to push them further apart. There we go. And again, 15, 15. Yeah, so now we have like this hodgepodge of cans. Obviously, we would probably want to relight this, you know, because we're clipping through the ground and stuff, but we could get a pretty cool render probably by coming in here. Let's find one with the logo facing the way we want. Like that. Oh, of course, it's going to be clipping in. Is there a seed for the random effector? Yeah, seed, change the seed. Wait for it. There we go. There we go. Look, we got one right here. We can come in here. Effectatron with a can. We've got cans in the background. Now we're talking. Turn our bokeh back on. Click to focus right here. And there you go. You got a nice dynamic drink ad just like that. That was over the top, unnecessary, obviously, but very cool that these work so well and render so fast and stuff. And obviously they all come in and look great. So let's just go ahead and undo a bunch of that stuff we did until we get rid of the cloner, honestly. We also can just take this overhead light and zoom out and just rotate it back a little bit, and that's going to smooth that out a little bit for us. We also could copy it and bring one back, and that should fill that out for us nicely as well. So now we can take this first one, rotate it back down. Very cool. Nice can. Relatively quickly. I know it was a longer tutorial. I tried to throw in some extra stuff in there because I could show you how to put a droplets on a can, but let's say you're new and you want to learn how to put your logo and stuff on there. Like, I think that's a really common thing. So hopefully that is helpful with knowing that I would say keep it a square and make sure it has an alpha channel, use the color splitter, that kind of thing, and you can layer it on there. And then when you use the displacement for the droplets, make a copy of everything, override everything with just the droplets so you have it on top of everything, because it just works better, in my opinion, than stacking it on there. So pretty cool. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content. As always, see you next time.